This is called a triple beam balance, and we use this piece of equipment to find the mass of different objects. Just kind of a quick point about all of the parts. This is called the pan, and this is where you put the things that you're going to measure. These are called the beams. As you can see, there's 3, triple beam balance. And then this tells us whether it's balanced or not, where we have the correct amount of weight. As you can see, the 2 lines don't line up, and there's nothing on here. Another thing to check if these 2 lines don't match up is to make sure that all your weights are on 0. And it looks like they're all on 0, so we have a problem. Underneath the pan is a little dial, and if you turn this dial, it will help match these 2 lines up. When putting something on the pan and you're going to measure it, you'll see, if you look real closely, you can see little notches in these beams. That's for these weights to sit on. And they're not quite, see how they're in between? Well, that's because when this moves to the 100, see the arrow points to the 100? And see how if I pull on it, it won't move very easily? That's because it's in the notch. When it's pointed in between, I can slide it back and forth real easy. That means it's not in the notch. This is not what you want. You want the arrow pointed at the number, and it's sitting right in that little groove. Now, the bottom one, our ones beam, doesn't have any notches. That's so we can easily slide the rider along and slide it back and forth as we need to. Those are the basic parts of a triple beam balance and kind of how you work it. Let's practice measuring something. Here we've got a nice cube, so we're going to put that on the pan. And then to start measuring, you always start with the 100s, which happens to be the middle rider. So you slide it to the 100 and see what happens. Oh, we see that it's sunk below our 0 line. That means that 100 grams is too heavy. So we got to back it up. Then we move to the 10s. So first we go to 10. Oh, it didn't move, so 10 is too light. So we go to 20. It's sunk. So 20 is too heavy, so we got to move it back to 10. Remember, you want to catch it right in that groove, and so that the arrow points right at 10. Otherwise, your measurement will be all messed up. Now, lastly, we come to the units rider. So now we're going to just gently start sliding this along until we see the 2 lines match up. Now, don't expect it to match up right on a number. So you can see we're getting closer, and we're in between the 4 and the 5. Okay, and we can see that the 2 lines are pretty much lined up. So now we come to reading how much the mass is. So we can start with the 100s rider, and it has 0 grams on it. Then we go to the 10s, and it's pointing right at 10 grams. And we go to the bottom one, and we look at the last whole number that it passed. It passed 4, but it didn't get to 5, so we're going to use the 4. So we're going to add all those up. Now, because it didn't quite get to the 5, but it's more than 4, we're going to put our decimal point in our number. And then we're going to count how many little lines it went over. And if you look really careful, there's a little pointer right there. So we see 4. Here's one little one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like it's right on that 7, or closest to the 7. So we would say 0.7 grams. Let's try one more for practice. So here I've got a different cube, and I'm going to put it on the pan. We're going to make sure all of our riders are pointing to 0. Okay, they are. So we're ready to start. So we start with the 100s. We move it over to 100. Hey, this one didn't sink, so it's more than 100 grams. I wonder if it's heavier than 200 grams. So we're going to slide it over. Oh, it sunk, so that means it's not 200 grams. So we're going to back it up one more to 100. So now we're going to go to the 10s. So it's pointed at 10. Nope, it didn't sink. We're going to move it to 20. There we go. Nope, it didn't sink. 30. No. 40? No. 50? Is it right in there? There we go. Oh, 50 it sank. So that means it's too heavy. We got to back it up. So now we're going to start sliding the slider until those two lines line up. This is the part where it takes patience. You can't just rush this along. That looks like those two lines are pretty much matched up. So now to add them all together. So we start with the 100s and it's pointing at 100. Now we go to the 10s and it's pointing at 40. And now down to the units. Well, it's just barely past 6, so we're going to write down 6. So now we're going to add them all up. Now we're going to put our decimal and count the tiny little lines. It looks like it's right on that first line. So that would be 0.1. And that's in grams.